We're always turning corners. There are always corners to turn. Corners are turning all around us. Corners at every turn. Corners at every turn.
I knew there was a fairly new SST accredited sports therapy degree course up and running in Birmingham, which I really liked the sound of. And it wasn't far from me, and I really fancied having a go at working in the city centre. So I set my sights on trying to get a role there. I applied, and this time I got through the interviews and presentations, and I was offered a position. I started in January 2009 and stayed for over 15 years. I found it challenging, stimulating, enjoyable, all in equal measure. At UCB, just as with all the other accredited SST degree programs, our facilities, clinics and resources were or are superb. I had an incredible teaching team around me, lovely people. We really did support and motivate each other. I was actually in awe of all of them. They all seem so knowledgeable and capable. And if any of my old colleagues are watching this, a big respect for you all. In amongst it all, there were great experiences working with students at sports events such as the London Marathon, Birmingham Half Marathon, the National Jiu-Jitsu Championships. I took great pleasure in organising our annual trips to London to visit the King's College dissection rooms and the Pathology Museum. I'd also like to say at this point that working with students can be so amazing. It's such a privilege to be able to spend time teaching, getting to know, help, guide and support, and have fun with people in their education. Sometimes these students really do go on to greater things than their teachers have ever imagined. They become PhD doctors, professors and senior lecturers, elite sports therapy practitioners, senior and advanced practitioners, entrepreneurs. And these successes are always great to see. So, in my role, I was able to collaborate as well as be somewhat autonomous, within limitations, which is quite a desirable aspect of work and something that many trusted roles can offer. I really like this infographic from Susan Wardle. It attempts to summarize all the likely or potential roles and responsibilities of a lecturer. It's a lot. That's why I have such admiration for those that do it so well. I put my heart and soul into module teaching and curriculum development. The focal aspect of all sports therapy degree courses will be the sports therapy clinic, where everyone has the opportunity to develop and thrive under close supervision. I'm the first to admit that some subjects and topics I struggled with, more than a few. I've never been good with statistics, and beyond the often intuitive abilities that most of us have, I often seem to need some assistance when it comes to tech. I put it down to being a baby boomer, and I'd prefer it if my working memory was better too, both in the classroom and the clinic. Any teacher or lecturer knows the challenges of crowd and individual management, whether large groups, disruptions, latecomers, early leavers, those that don't do or haven't been able to do what is expected of them, student or staff personal issues, complaints, being asked to do things at the last minute, covering other people's lectures, minimal prep. It's all part of the job. And that's before we even consider the need to teach and preparing for teaching, and the ways in which we need to help facilitate the learning, especially with the progressively more complex topics and skills, and also in our field, the essential need to assist and guide in the real application of these skills in athlete and patient-facing situations. On top of that, It's essential that we aim to heighten our understanding of people. By this I mean our neurodiversity, our racial, gender and sexual literacy and cultural competence, and the very real intersectionality that is absolutely at the centre of this highly contemporised human experience. We must also add age, ability and background to that conversation. There really is a lot for us all to keep up with, and we're in very challenging times right now. I think universities and other educational establishments particularly have a huge responsibility and opportunity to nurture the awareness of these aspects of the lived experience. Then we can at least have some hope that some of this can then translate into reducing the discriminations and barriers that some of us might face in the workplaces and the social spaces that we all inhabit. And while we're talking about teaching and learning, I think it's worth clarifying a little about pedagogy, andragogy and heutagogy. I'd suggest it's helpful for students to develop a little insight into where the educational process can be heading. So, pedagogy is broadly the method, the practice and study of teaching and learning. While andragogy is specifically the facilitated learning for adults, which builds on a platform of expectation, developing maturity, personal autonomy, and intrinsic motivation. Andragogy embraces self-direction and draws on accumulated experience, personal organisation, critical thinking, and cognitive reasoning. So, heutagogy, by extension, is conceivably a higher form of andragogic and self-determined learning. It's founded on the management of learning for reflectively analytical learners and focuses on the development of self-discovery, learner capacity, and capability via problem identification and problem solving, metacognitive reasoning, experimentation and innovation, and independent and collaborative learning, in person and digitally, in order to produce practitioners who are well prepared for the looming complexities of the workplace, and also for the associated prospect of lifelong learning. So I think that this kind of summarises what in universities we're really aiming to help develop in the graduating professionals. Whether teacher or lecturer or student or just working professional, it's more than useful to learn about learning and teaching. Over the years, in addition to what I learned on the job from other teachers and colleagues and from work-based mandatory and self-directed training, I was also able and grateful to complete a postgraduate certificate and then a master's degree in teaching and learning. My eventual dissertation looked at advancing transitional student engagement via innovative curriculum design in an undergraduate sports therapy degree program. There are numerous what we can call transitional points for students, including those prior to, during, and also after their university experience. For my study, the foundational premise was that student engagement is central to the HE experience, and that students should be seen as active partners in that experience. For the research, I examined the dimensions of student transition and engagement, proposed a conceptual model for transitional engagement, and presented an integrated strategy for first-year curriculum. It was for me a useful learning journey. It helped me to better appreciate some of the contemporary challenges faced by universities, staff and students, and I think it helped us as an institution to develop interventions to progress our first-year curriculum. You can always take something from what you've been learning, whether it was a webinar or a workshop, a research article, a conference, a short or long course, a YouTube video, a book chapter, or a peer discussion. Even if you just simply learn to move on from it with a been there, done that kind of experience. Obviously, the real hope and expectation is to gain some new or deeper insight, some practical skill development, or simply build some confidence with what we are thinking and doing.
The roots of education are quite bitter, but the fruits are quite sweet. The roots are brown and bitter, yet the fruits are so sweet. The roots are bitter, the fruits are sweet. Sweet and bitter, bitter and sweet, sweet.
I was involved in teaching and developing various modules, but my preferred areas were always in anatomy, pathology, clinical assessment, exercise medicine, soft tissue therapy and manual therapy, and professionalism and ethics. Obviously, we all love our jobs when they're going well, when we have some agency in the role, when we and everyone else feels that it's all going well, when we can have some fun doing it, and when we're being paid sufficiently well. But obviously, none of that is guaranteed. We're going back a few years here, but I'd sometimes use an opening slide like this when beginning with a new class, as we would often do the ice-breaking activities to get to know each other. I do believe in honesty and self-depreciation. There were also student tutorials, dissertation supervisions, the almost endless course meetings and administration, the moderation of assessments, the mapping of module learning outcomes, the huge amount of marking, running open days, etc., etc. We always had to try and show some innovation in our approach. That is something in HE that can keep it stimulating and vibrant.
I'm a sports therapist. I'm keen to represent graduate sports therapists and their potential future and employability and integration into mainstream healthcare and sports-related healthcare. So that's my main priority. I am a supporter of the SST. I recognise the achievements that they've made in their short time, relatively short compared to those strides that they've made by the Chartered Physiotherapy.
The number you have called is not available. Sorry, the number you have called is not available. Sorry, the number you have called is not available.
It's not that we don't talk anymore. It's not that we don't care at all. It's not that we don't see eye to eye. It's not that we don't try. And I might cry, but I'll never lie. As a man, I can only do my best. Loving you was like second best. I need the fullness, I need nothing less. At the end of the day, well, there's nothing left. So don't worry, don't worry. Get some rest. Don't worry, no, don't style. I gotta see it through.